Carl here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for sure. And it's taken off those nostalgia goggles. 31 days of Halloween, looking back at childhood horror films. By that I mean horror movies I watched as a child. Hopefully you're following along with this series now, episode by episode for 31 days, spread across the month of October 2024. It's Halloween time. Looking back at films that I watched from a very young age, the effect they had on me as a horror fan, turning me into the horror fan I am today. We've done Demons, we've done Demons 2, we've done Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, and now we're going to a creature feature. Creature feature, monster movie, what is it? What do they call these things? I always forget what the terminology for these ones are. It's a monster movie. It's a giant alligator movie. 1980s Alligator. First things first, this is one that it's been a while since I've watched, so I want to get out there right now. Whereas sort of the likes of Demons and Hello Mary Lou, every couple of years I will stick them back on and re-watch them. Alligator, it's been a while. I had vague recollections of some very cool shots involving a giant alligator. The scene at the end of the movie, or sequence at the kind of party, that's what I remember a lot of. But most of this was a bit of a blank slate, so going into it, was a bit different compared to the others. My memories always based around the alligators, and the alligator itself is nothing too. Weirdly, I've seen Alligator 2, The Mutation, but I remember nothing about that film at all, so that's not in these 31 days, these days at all, because of course it had no effect on me. But just Alligator itself and seeing it, whenever I watch any modern day Alligator films and I see CGI, for example, I always get mad because of course this 80s film used practical effects and different models and things like that to really create its look, and ended up involved in some iconic scenes. I just remember this thing being an absolute unstoppable beast, which of course an alligator isn't necessarily so, and so many elements around it make no sense, particularly on a rewatch. But I used to always remember having a blast with it, and it's a fun one, alongside your likes of Piranha and Jaws and all of that. But for some reason, although I've seen Jaws way more and it's such a fantastic movie, and same with Piranha, this one just always sticks in my mind more, so it's why I wanted to cover it. First thing that on a rewatch that really surprised me, Robert Forster stars in this. That's awesome. Obviously the youngster would never have known who he was and certainly had no impact at all, but of course today, incredible actor. Thoroughly enjoy a lot of his work, and he is great in this lead role. Him as the hero, getting the girl, all of that, it's a little hard to take seriously, but hey, it's 1980, so why the hell not? I do question on a rewatch why he has such a hard-on for killing this alligator. Now, I understand that, the police officer that goes with him is killed by the alligator. That's kind of, he wants revenge. But I think that would work more if it was kind of like a long-term partner, like best friend, that kind of thing. Whereas it's just some random police officer who decides to go with him more than anything else. Not saying you should want revenge or anything like that, but alligator is just doing what the alligator does. And that's a weird thing, right? This film sets the alligator up as being like this big destructive villain, but all I kept thinking on a rewatch is I feel sorry for it. It got put in an environment it didn't want to be. A series of mental events result in it turning into this huge creature, and then everybody just keeps messing with it. It needs to eat, it's hungry, and they're all mad at it for doing that. I can't blame the alligator. That's an adult's perspective. As a child, it was terrifying. Bear in mind, I live in the UK. And as a child, I lived in Ireland. We're not exactly two countries known for their alligator population, but I'm pretty sure this made the sewers quite a terrifying prospect. And particularly as well, we don't have sewer systems quite like they do in America, at least in this city. Is it Los Angeles? I believe, no, it's Chicago. So like big storm drains and sewers that you can not just fully walk down, but can house a giant alligator and run for miles and miles and miles. Those things didn't exist in the countries I lived in, yet I was convinced that they were actually existed. I genuinely believed, as a youngster, the whole sort of dropping a pet down a toilet, so an alligator or goldfish, all of that this could actually happen. That they could end up in the sewer, thrive, survive, and then grow into something monstrous. Not that, of course, my parents ever did anything like this and so on. We didn't have enough pets of that size to do that kind of thing. But it would make you think that was a reality, particularly in America, because so much of this film feels American. I wouldn't necessarily say this had an effect on me from a scare perspective. That's quite important. I don't think it is a scary movie. I don't remember it scaring me much as a child, aside from, you know, monstrous alligator in the sewer stuff. And watching as an adult, I really don't think it is at all. It's more fun than anything else, more action orientated than anything else. There are some great gore scenes involving the alligator, some people ending up in its jaws, and we're getting some damn good shots of people getting kind of mauled by it. But beyond that, there's nothing really too egregious here. And a lot of the time, it just ends up feeling quite silly, particularly the way the alligator moves. It is really, really slow. Now, of course, they actually can be quite fast. But this one is really, really slow. And nobody ever really seems to take... Basically, it always feels like everybody's a bit stupid in this film. Like, they're like, oh my God, we can't find this alligator and can't handle it and can't deal with it. And it's like, it's a fucking 50-whatever foot alligator. I don't know if it's that big, but a massive alligator. Come on, guys. Seriously. Like, it's all done... It's all a bit silly. And then he introduces this character, which is some sort of game hunter. And you've seen this character before. If you've ever seen like Lake Placid, there's another alligator movie. You got a game hunter that's arrogant and thinks he can kind of deal with it and all that. This guy is I swear he's here for laughs, and he dies so quickly. When he popped back up on the screen on this rewatch, I was like, oh yeah, it's you. Oh, you weren't funny. And I was, again, it was like, oh yeah, he isn't funny. And I didn't really get it. I don't know if he's supposed to be funny, because he's got more sleazy antics. And then he's just killed. And it's just kind of done. There's some stuff that does not hold up well. You know, there's a group of black characters that is some stereotypical shit, man. That I certainly wouldn't have recognised back being a youngster, but as an adult, I'm like, oh, that's ugly. Beyond that, this is one that I think it does kind of ring true to what I remember. I remember enjoying the alligator stuff and not a lot else. I remember not being too frightened by it. But I also remember it like having decent gore and stuff like that. All of that rings true. I don't think it's a good film. I don't. I think it's too boring in places, and character-wise and story-wise, there's nothing really that takes hold. But you might have a different opinion. That's mine. Certainly looking back at it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.